What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 26 of the Charge to the Top, here with Hereford FC. And today, as I believe you're watching this, if you're watching this the first day it's up, it's Christmas Eve, and oh boy, have I got a treat for you today. Now, today we're going to have a live com double header. It's going to be against Lincoln and Wrexham. As I alluded to, hopefully this is going up on Christmas Eve. If it's not, this intro kind of doesn't make any sense. If you don't know, I'm away over Christmas. I have to pre-record a load of videos. I kind of have a schedule set out, and this video happens to fall on the 24th, on the Saturday, right before Christmas. So I do hope that you have a good Christmas. There'll be videos obviously going up over this entire period of time, pretty much daily, despite the fact I am away and kind of having a rest. And hopefully, well, we can have a good little early present here. We're going to be taking on Lincoln and Wrexham. As you can see, looking at our form here, it's not been the start to the season I wanted. We won obviously against Solihull Moors last episode. Following on from that, a 4-1 win against York. And I'm thinking at this point, fantastic. You know, York, a fairly big team in this division. They're not a small team, although they have struggled in recent years, but they have money that they've burnt trying to get new players in. So to beat them, you know, gives me a little bit of confidence. But unfortunately, off the back of that, as you can see, 4 games without a win. The first of which, a 1-0 defeat against Torquay, a penalty deciding this game. In truth, Torquay were the better side. They played the better football. We didn't really have the best day at the races. And as you'll notice, going through these games, for 3 of them, we actually failed to score. And this was the case again in this game against Gateshead. And a game whereby, as you can see, we dominated the game. We had so many more shots, but they had a man sent off after 35 minutes. So to really not capitalise on that was bitterly, bitterly disappointed. Harry Lennon, I guess, getting man of the match. A silver lining there. At least we got a clean sheet. Following on from that, we took on Ebbsfleet in a game where we hit the woodwork 3 times and lost 3-0. It was just one of those games. I hate to use that kind of as the cop-out. You can kind of see looking at the stats, it was very close. Both teams had even kind of clear-cut chances. They actually edged it when it came to half chances. As I said, you can see here, we hit the woodwork 3 times. On another day, it's a completely different result. And the unfortunate reality is that given our poor form, this is the kind of game we do need to be winning. And we didn't. And perhaps I should have made a few more changes when it came to our striking options. But again, you know, no goal for a 3rd game in a row. A bad day at the officers. Now, fortunately, following on from that, we did actually get a point finally registered on the board. This time against Dulwich Hamlet. It was a tight game. We actually took the league through Chimanga, who is a new man who I've recently signed. One of 4 new signings actually since the start of the season. And as you can see, looking at him, just a very, very good striker. Released from MK Dons, he's joined us. He's got 3 goals in his first 4 games for the club. Not a bad introduction, and well, he got one here. Unfortunately, Christian Dennis grabbed a quick brace in the 75th and 77th minute. However, Stephen Payne in the 81st minute fought back immediately and rescued us a point. And to be honest, that was a good result. Away from home, Dulwich Hamlet, definitely the better team in that match. I was kind of relieved, you know, to get something because we had been struggling up until that point. Anyway, fortunately for me, in recent games, our kind of form has turned around. As you can see, we actually scored 4 goals against Dagenham and Redbridge in a 3-1 win. Unfortunately, Mick Mullen with an own goal, another player who is new to the club, joined us on loan from Walsall. He's a very, very good player. Can play either wing, very good out on the right-hand side. In truth, his introduction to this club hasn't been particularly smooth, but of course, in on loan, not paying too much of his wages. I don't know, I'm hoping he can be good for us. But at the same time, it's not really going to be the be-all or end-all because we do have a lot of strength out wide. As you can see, Harry Anderson grabbing 2. Really the big earner at the club now on £1,400 a week. So far though, 3 goals, 3 assists, 2 man of the match performances, a 7.76 average rating. I can't fault him. Money well spent at least initially right now. Anyway, in the final game of this run of results, we took on Stockport. We won 1-0. They missed a penalty. We went up the other end and scored through Chimanga. And, well, it finished like that. So a good result there to end off things. So, in terms of where we sit in the league, obviously 8 games played, 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. It's not ideal. We currently sit in 6th, and as I mentioned, today we're going to be starting things off against Lincoln, who are currently in 10th on 12 points. Worth noting, if we look at the season preview, they were predicted to be right up there in 4th, and then following on from that, we are going to be taking on Wrexham. So, yeah, 2 very, very big games here. Hopefully we can get some good results off the back of some fairly good form. You know, 1 defeat in our last 5 games. As I mentioned, we have made a few signings, so just to cover them real quick. The first player we signed in, Philip Vincent Day. I thought this guy was going to be the answer to our prayers at right back. We've been struggling for a right back option. Obviously, Kane Smith not quite good enough. You can see when you compare these 2 players, Vincent Day, just a significant improvement kind of in every area, really. The 19-year-old released from Manchester United, never made an appearance for them. He's played a few games for us, and so far, he's been a little bit disappointing. I'm hoping he can put that behind us, and he is actually going to be starting today's game against Lincoln. I'm going to give him another chance. Him and Kane Smith, neither of them been particularly sharp in pre-season and kind of in this season as a whole. They're kind of still fighting over that right-back position. I don't really have a preference one way or another. Anyway, Mick Mullins in on loan from Walsall. Shimanga's joined us on a free, and the other player we've added is Chris Hussey. Just a bit of experience, really. 30 years old, a left-back, can play left mid as well, which is kind of useful. Also a good little wing-back. Just adds a little bit of strength and depth to the left-back position, which is an area of the pitch we have been struggling with. As you can see, looking at the team as a whole, players on rests going into today's game. That because our fixture schedule's been pretty packed. You can see here, obviously we're playing Lincoln midweek, and we have had a fair few midweek games early on in the season. The Vanarama National, of course, a season where we do have to play 46 games rather than the 42 we played last year. So anyway, that's kind of what's been going on there. One thing that I will just draw your eye to, and something that caught me off by guard really, is the fact that some of our players have really good values now in this division, and actually a few players who I like, but I don't know, if I could sell them for their value, I might be quite happy. Alex Fisher, of course, joined us on a free, released from Oxford. £170,000 he's valued at. Kind of caught me off guard, that. And the same with Ollie Banks as well. Obviously, I don't really have intentions of selling these guys initially, but interesting to see that with our rise through the divisions and, of course, our growing profile as a team, and with some very talented players to boot, you know, we are starting to gain a little bit of equity because, of course, when it comes to your club's value, a lot of that is made up of the players that you own. As you can see, our estimated value sits at £1.2 million. This, a screen I've not really shown enough, in truth, but here it is, just if you're wondering how things are going. Jaden Hall, of course, up there on the icons list, as is Ote. Looking elsewhere, you've got Jake Sinclair, who, of course, we lost to Accrington a few years ago. I'm still upset about that. He's there. You've got Sean Hanbury, who unfortunately has left the club. Oh, in fact, no, he hasn't left the club yet. He actually turned down an offer to go to, I think it was Solihull Moors, actually, who we played last episode, wanted him in. I don't think we've had too many big players leave on outs. I've had a few players who I've just released because they were complaining about lack of first-team football when their contracts are expired. I mean, I don't know what they're expecting. They're asking to leave the club. It's a case of fair enough, I'll release you. Which is kind of what we've done. But no, I feel like things are going fairly well. You know, we're doing very well off the pitch. And speaking of off the pitch, just worth noting here, youth facilities and training facilities in the works of being improved. They're actually going to take 2 years to kind of sort out, which is a little bit longer than I'd like. But at the same time, good to see them obviously improve. My big concern with these, however, is I requested, you know, youth facility and training facility improvements. The board came back to me and went, yep, we'll do that. Look at the news item. I think the training facilities are totalling £750,000. The youth facilities, £650,000. I don't know where that money's coming from. Obviously, last year we made some fairly decent money, £350,000, but with the wages going up significantly this year, even with a rise in division, I feel like we're still going to be struggling to make quite as much money as last year. But I guess the flip side is that the club is running very, very profitably, and in truth, we only really need to raise £600,000 over the next 2 years in order to cover those costs, which, I don't know, should be fairly doable, I think. But yeah, just worth keeping an eye on that. If one day we look at our bank balance and it's like below zero, you know what happened. So anyway, let's get into today's kind of opening game. It's actually going to be our first home game of the month, which is kind of nice, and that's, as is the Wrexham one. It's going to be against Lincoln City. As I mentioned at the end of last episode, I grew up in Lincoln, familiar club with me. I used to go to Sincilbank fairly frequently, so I'm hoping we can get a good result here. If you don't know, it's a little bit weird with me because I was born in Boston in Lincolnshire, and then I moved to Lincoln in Lincolnshire, and if you don't know, those two teams don't really like each other. So, yeah, not that they play each other very frequently anymore, obviously with the demise of Boston over recent years. Let's not make this about Boston when we're playing Lincoln, Jack. Let's try not to avoid that. Of course, Lincoln, they're in the FA Cup third round against Ipswich in real life, which is quite an impressive achievement. Hopefully, we can get a good result against them. In terms of our team, I didn't really run through it, but we go with Russell Griffiths in goal. He's had an okay start to his time at the club. Could be better, could be worse, really. Philip Vincent Day is going to play at right back for us. In terms of the rest of our team, you can see here Rafael Branco and Lennon at centre-back. Branco, very good start to the season, of 7.22 average rating, did get man of the match in a game as well. Harry Lennon alongside him. Again, very, very good kind of centre-back at this level. In fact, he's probably too good for this level. But we have him. He's a very good player. He's on very good money. And so far, he's looking like good value for money. He's putting some good ratings. Anyway, at left-back, we go with Chris Owens, of course, signed from Telford last year. He played very frequently last year. This year, he's had a very good start to the season, really. Worth noting that with our fullbacks, you may notice that I've switched their roles to defend. Following on from us kind of struggling to keep clean sheets and such, I decided to play a little bit more defensive, and just by changing those player roles, I'm just mixing things up there. In order to compensate for that, however, I have now put look for overlap on, which should see our fullbacks kind of look for the the runs on the outside more often than not. Worth noting that the only other instruction I've been using throughout this kind of save, using this 4-4-2, is just shorter passing. I feel like people fall into the trap of overcomplicating tactics, and for me, simpler usually works better. Anyway, at left mid, we go with Harry Anderson. As I said last episode, I kind of like a left-footed left winger. At the same time, I can't fault this guy. 3 goals, 3 assists in 7 games. On the right-hand side, we do go with Keenan Bennett. Definitely not the greatest right-back mid in our team, but a fantastic performer. So far this year, an 8.03 average rating. I need to give him more time to play, give him a chance to prove himself further, and he gets it today. In the centre of the midfield, we go with Oscar Goburn. Alongside him, we go with, of course, Isaac Christie-Davis. Both those centre mids, not a bad start to the season, but their form of late has been a little bit kind of crap, to put it bluntly. And then up top for today's game, we go with Stephen Payne, who has been banging in goals for fun. 19 goals in 25 career appearances for the club. And alongside him, I do go with Shimanga today. So, of course, you may notice Ote not in the side. He is on the bench. Other options we've got on the bench, we've got Jordan Pickett as a defensive option. Very, very good player, of course. Ollie Banks, again, good option. Versatile centre mid. Can also play right mid now. I'm now going to look to train him to play left mid too. If you can pick up both those positions, I kind of see him as being a very flexible player for us to have on the bench, Ollie Banks, and so far, kind of so good, I guess, in terms of his development. The other player we have, Dale Robinson Lanson, of course, we just call him DR for short. It's simpler, isn't it? Last 2 players we've got Mick Mullen, who, as I mentioned, on loan from Walsall, a very talented player, could play out on that right-hand side, maybe an alternative option to Keenan Bennett, and Ote on the bench, a player who, I'm going to be honest, 1 assist, 0 goals in his last 5 games. It's a very uncharacteristic kind of poor start to the year for him. He's actually got 5 assists in 7 games, but with the abundance of striking options we've got, and with Payne and Shimanga scoring goals for fun, I feel like they're the 2 men we kind of have to go with today. So let's see how we get on. Obviously, Lincoln City at home. Home advantage. Hopefully we can make something of that. Going to be a tricky match, but I have faith in our boys. We've had a very good start to the season following on from a rough patch. 2 wins in our last 2 games, and hopefully we can get an ideal start here as, well, the ball almost finds its way into the box. Payne might still get there. Unfortunately, Keto collects. But no, not a bad start. A little bit of a sign of intent, perhaps. We are the home side, of course, against Lincoln. They're currently in 10th. They're predicted to be right up there in the table. I want a good result here as a long throw gets launched in, and we've not dealt with that. Was that Wood? Who is Wood? He has the biggest throw I've ever seen. A long throw punishing me. Not often you see them in FM, really. That ball was just launched in and we just didn't deal with it. Thrown in. Gets the flick on. Cassidy knocks it across the 6-yard box. No one picking up their man. Vincent Day, the right back, perhaps should be there. Obviously, Kane Smith, he's going to be sat there shaking his head. Obviously, our kind of club captain, our kind of go-to right back. It's not that I don't rate Kane Smith. It's just I don't think he's quite good enough, and I want to give Vincent Day a chance. 19 years old, released by Manchester United. The kid has something about him. So we'll have to see what he can do here. Anyway, we do have the ball. Bennett's inside to Christie-Davis. We need to fight back immediately. Shimanga turns his man and smashes it in. More of that, please. 4th goal of the season for him. He is the reason that Ote's been forced out the side. Released by MK Dons. He's come to us. Actually, a player who, at one point, I looked to loan during this series, although it never really came to be. But now that we have him playing for us, he's got a beautiful goal there. Smashes it in. Keeper beating at the near post, but I don't really feel like you can fault him all that much. That ball rifled home. And, well, hopefully now we can, take this performance to the next level. We're on the attack again. Christie-Davis, Shimanga up there. He gets the ball. Can he finish it? He can. I think that went in off the underside of the crossbar. And, well, what a goal that was for him. His 5th goal of the season. He's got 2 in very, very quick succession. This game, 12 minutes gone, 3 goals. Burst to life very early on. Payne with a lovely ball through. Shimanga, one touch on the outside of his right peg. Keeper gets a great hand to it, but tips it onto the crossbar. And, well, it went over the line. And that is what matters for us as we find ourselves in a good situation here. Although Lincoln, they could be looking to fight back immediately. Looking at the stats early on, we've had more of the ball. But Lincoln, they've had a fair few shots and they're actually going on the attack here, although Goburn wins it well. Tshimanga maybe looking for the hat-trick. Can he get it? This would be incredibly quick. Can he finish it? No, he can't. Keto keeps hold of it. And, well, how quick would that hat-trick have been? It would have been a 5-minute hat-trick. Unfortunately, the chance squandered. Ball whipped in, though. Doesn't beat the first man, although Anderson commits the foul. A bit of a cynical, naughty little foul there by him. Didn't really need to be made. We had a lot of men committed to the attack, but we're on the attack again here. Payne, Anderson, can he redeem himself? Can he get the ball in the box? He beats his man, he whips in. Bennett's back post. Keenan probably should have scored there. 3 clear-cut chances in the opening 22 minutes. We are creating a lot of opportunities here. Our strike force really being a handful for Lincoln. They've had that one big set piece, but, well, they have another set piece here. A free kick in our half. We need to defend this well. Woodyard forced to go all the way back to the goalkeeper. You can see we're kind of reshaping up here with the 4-4-2, getting back into position to deal with it. The ball launched forward. Lennon wins it, although it's still with Lincoln City here. Woodyard, options on ahead, cops through. Can he get the ball into the mix? So he crosses it in. Jake Cassidy's there. He was involved in the first goal where he put the cross into the box. This time Jake Cassidy gets on the score sheet and he's the recipient of a cross. Woodyard, ball through there. Kopp does well to drift out wide. You can just see no one getting back in the middle. Who is that there? That's Goburn. Probably should drop in a little bit. Lennon, perhaps also kind of questionable positioning by him. And, well, 2-2 here. It's an entertaining game at least. And, well, there's going to be another highlight in the 36th minute. We're on the attack again. Christy Davis, Anderson, options in the middle, crosses it. Bennett is there. He does score this time. He had a very, very similar opportunity. It's a first goal of the season for Keenan Bennett, of course. A player who last year was just so instrumental with us. 20 assists and 10 goals last year. Can't really expect him to do a similar thing at this level. But when he gets to the back post there and he just cushions it in on the inside of his right peg. This game has had everything so far. 3-2. And it's not even half-time yet, although, well, half-time now quickly approaching. But as far as I'm concerned, the perfect first half, really. 3-2 it finishes. I guess perfect is a very loose term. I feel like it would be beyond perfect if we were to keep a clean sheet, because they just don't exist as far as we're concerned. But very good first half performance. Payne and Tshimanga up front doing very well. Looking across the rest of our team, Goburn at centre defence in mid, not having the greatest of games. I'm actually going to make a change very early on here. I'm going to bring in Ollie Banks. Now, Ollie Banks, he's not the greatest player defensively. His tackling and marking kind of let him down, as does his concentration and determination and positioning. But he is a very well-rounded centre mid, if not all that much defensively. And I feel like he's a good alternative option to a Goburn who, in truth, just hasn't had a great first half and hasn't had a great time at the club. You know, Goburn, he came to the club kind of towards the end of last season. He got sent off on his debut. I had very high hopes of him, and in truth, he just seems to struggle to perform at times. So hopefully Banks can give a good performance for us. Great win by Branco there. Tshimanga going to be looking for the hat-trick. Lays it up to Payne. Back to Tshimanga. Can he finish it? Probably should have done. Bennett crosses it in. Payne back post. And, well, I thought the chance was gone. I thought the opportunity was wasted. But Bennett with a lovely ball back to the back post. We didn't give up. We weren't going to settle for the corner. Tshimanga definitely should have scored that. Bennett decides to keep the play alive. Back post, Payne, now on the volley himself, gets it in. The keeper just caught out of position. Very difficult for him to move across his goal line there. The width for the goal. 4-2 it is now. And, well, goals galore. We don't really do boring live comms, it seems, as Payne's on the attack. Tshimanga hits it. 5-2. He has his hat-trick finally. It's been a long overdue hat-trick. It's his 6th goal of the season. It's 5-2. There's only 50 minutes gone. What is this madness? Yesterday's episode was equally as mad. Today, well, Tshimanga, bang. Pick that out. Keeper dives across. Can't get there. And, well, the home fans, they're enjoying this game now. A 3-goal margin kind of established. But, well, the way this game's gone, I still don't feel all that comfortable with 3 goals. 4 goals would feel a lot better. We do give away the ball there. Big ball over the top. Branco, though, deals with it well. Vincent Day. Back to Griffiths. And, well, a moment of pause, a moment of reflection, a moment of rest, because this game has had madness. And Payne might be through again. Can he squeeze it in? He hits the woodwork in an open goal. The whole goal was just gaping open and he smashes it against the crossbar. That was a chance to make it 6-2. At that point, this game is probably beyond doubt. Christy Davis, I feel like we can take him off. He's not the greatest games, but we're going to bring on DR. You know, very good playmaker, very good player going forward. You know, good vision, good passing, decent flair, very, very good physically. We're going to give him a little bit of time, the youngster, just to play in this game. And that's something that's quite fortunate about this kind of game. I can actually afford to play some of our younger players. And obviously, in recent kind of weeks, our team has become a bit of I guess, a second home for a lot of young players who haven't really been given chances, particularly regens, players like Vincent Day, players like DR. There's a fair few of them, and they're getting some nice regular first-team football, and hopefully they can develop under that. And, well, after an absolutely mad first 55 minutes or so, the game did calm down. It's only finished 5-2 in the end. I say only just because I feel like my expectations were set very high for that match, but a very, very good win. It was a tight game, but superior finishing the difference on the day. We move up to third. Wrexham actually drew their game that they just played against Fidel, who are second. So that's a good result for both of them, really. Both teams unbeaten. We have got Wrexham coming up in 4 days' time. It's going to be a tricky game. Do I want to continue forward to that game? I think I will. This might take me longer than I'd like, but we're going to just keep going. One solid take. Let's see how we can get on against Wrexham. What a result that was, though, against Lincoln. Very, very happy with that. We've been struggling, a little bit in the season so far. And, well, to move it up to third is comfortable. It's the highest we've been, I think, all season since the first few games where we won fairly convincingly. But, you're just above of teams on goal difference, which is nice. But this game against Wrexham going to be a tricky one. Perhaps worth noting, I have got players all being rested up. You can see here a lot of the players being rested. I feel like Keenan Bennett and Vincent Day probably deserve a rest as well. I want to make sure these players are as fit as they can be going into the next game. I don't really want to change the starting 11. It all came together very nicely against Lincoln at home. I'm hoping we can put in a similar kind of performance, obviously, against Wrexham now. So, going to persevere with the 4-4-2. It's a shame that, we conceded 2 against Lincoln. That's not exactly ideal. But, I don't know, the fact that we fought back, having gone a goal down, is pleasing. And, well, to see Shimanga get a hat-trick is good. It's a tough call to drop Ote, even when he's in bad form like he is, where he's only scored, well, I think he's got 1 assist in his last 5 games. It's still a big call to drop a man who's scored, like a goal every game for the club since he joined 2 years ago. But Shimanga got the nod, and it kind of paid off for us. It was certainly worth it. George Johnson, Dartford looking to loan him in. Do I want him to go out on loan? That's the question. We have got some okay options at centre-back. We've obviously got Jordan Piggott. The other options I've got at centre-back really are in the under-23s. We've got a fair few. We've got like Sam Harrison here who could come in. I don't think I want to loan out Johnson though. I'm just going to compare George Johnson and Harrison. I don't feel like I've compared these two players before. You see, they're two fairly similar players in a lot of ways. I mean, George Johnson has him beat in the technical areas, but defensively, Sam Harrison is just a little bit better than him, particularly with the mentals that relate to defensive kind of duties. I don't really want to loan out Johnson, though, just because I'd probably play him ahead of Harrison, if I'm honest, and I feel like you need at least kind of 2 backup players in every area, and it's worth noting that in the under-23s, Dan Preston is currently out for 4 to 6 weeks. He'd be perhaps another option to bring in at centre-back for us, but I don't know. With his sprained ankle injury, obviously, he's not really an available alternative, and so I feel like George Johnson kind of needed just for the sake of in case of injury crisis, I guess. So anyway, Wrexham, the team coming up, they are unbeaten. This is going to be a mighty tough game. 9 games played for them, 6 wins, 3 draws. Our record, not quite so great. 5 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. We're definitely not unbeatable. But I'm hoping we can take that momentum off that Lincoln game. A very, very good performance by the team. And get a great result here against the team top of the table. It's not going to be easy for us. In terms of our team kind of as a whole, I'm fairly happy with the balance of it. You kind of look across our squad now. It's not too bad. We have a lot of strength and depth, which is something that not a lot of other teams in our division have. If we look at our kind of team report here, you can see apparently lack of defence is like a problem. It's not really the case. I feel like 5 centre-backs is more than enough when you're not playing in continental football. I feel like FM's interpretation of the required amount of players is a little bit odd at times. But no, I feel like we have good coverage everywhere. Perhaps another goalkeeper would be useful just as a third choice. Obviously, you can see here decent left back, some right back options, centre backs. We've got options. Defensive midfielder, we don't really play with one, so I'm not that fussed about that. And going forward, we do have a lot of talent. Again, 5 strikers, I feel like is more than enough. I don't really get why that's a negative. And apparently, there's not a lot of depth outside the first team, which again, I don't necessarily agree with my assistant's assessment of that, if I'm being honest. I feel like we have a lot of strength and depth, so much so that I can afford to completely rotate a team if I need to. In order to play fully fit players. And if we do have a few injuries sprout up, we've got players very capable of just slotting in and fitting in kind of like for like, really. But this is going to be a big game, I think, in the context of our season. I know it's only early on, it's only in September, but taking on Wrexham, who are in first, it's going to be a tricky game. As I said, they're unbeaten, an opportunity perhaps to knock them for 6 and just kind of I don't know, knock the wind out of them a little bit, kind of slow them down. Fidel are going to be taking on Macclesfield. Of course, Fidel. Is it Fidel? That's not right. It's. I don't know. I'm just going to call them Fidel. That's not correct. I'm sorry to all Fidel fans. You're getting more annoyed the more I say it, so I apologise profusely. But no, obviously both these teams unbeaten. A win for us here would be good. It would move us within 1 point of Wrexham. They are a very good team. If we just look at their recent form here, you can see unbeaten, obviously. Their draws have come against Macclesfield and Barrow. They've beaten the likes of Bristol, who are a very good team in this division. They've not played a ton of the teams right up there in the table now that I look at it. So hopefully we can maybe rain on their parade today. So let's get into it. Obviously, as I said, not changing the team. I'm going to stick with the squad that served us well against Lincoln. You can see here, looking at the team, condition has improved a lot just because we weren't obviously playing. It was a great performance last time out by the team. We're going to go with more of the same again today. See how we get on. They're going to play a 4-4-2 as well, so that's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, though, we can give a good performance. How are their striking options? They've got Jordan White. He seems pretty good, the Scotsman. Alongside him, they've got Harvey. He's a bit more of a playmaker, really. Bernard Mensah on the left. Is that Chris Eagles? It is indeed. 35. I didn't even realise he was still playing football. That is weird. Obviously, played for Bolton, a £2 million player, really fallen from grace. But aged 33, I guess it's not entirely surprising that he's lost his pace. But he is playing out on the right for them. A very versatile player, looking at his positions he can play. So yeah, this is going to be tricky. This is going to be a tough game. Hopefully we can give a good performance. I don't know why I've just asked my assistant to take the team talk. That could prove to be a mistake. I guess he didn't completely screw it up, which is nice, but we didn't manage to save it either. So not the greatest team talk. I'm going to blame my assistant for that one. But no, same team, same performance is the plan really, although we know that Wrexham are going to be very, very stiff competition today. I don't think we'll expect quite such an open game as we had against Lincoln. Obviously 4-4-2, it's a very like-for-like game this in terms of the two systems the teams are going to be playing. And, well, it could be, settled by overall quality. And, well, defensive organisation would be good, wouldn't it? Vincent Day hacks it off the line. Wrexham, a great opportunity there. They actually hit the woodwork. The ball rolled across the line. And, well, we eventually dealt with it at least. But, well, an early warning sign there that perhaps we need to be on our toes today. Wrexham pulled our defence completely out of position. It was a bit of a nightmare at the back. Although, fortuitously, I guess you could say, we did manage to cope with it. And, well, we've kind of weathered the storm now. Looking at the stats, we've had more possession, we've had more shots. Neither team creating a whole host of chances, although we have had one half chance. Now Bennett's with a set piece. Oh my gosh. Keenan Bennett, you little wizard. He scores a fantastic free kick. It's his second goal in 2 games for us. It moves us up to third. And, well, Keenan Bennett's a player who, I'll be honest, I didn't know if he could step up at this level. He's just scored a fantastic free kick. Bends it over into that top corner. Eastwood in goal, absolutely no chance there. And, well, we find ourselves a goal to the good. It's not been, a real kind of clear opportunity we've scored from. It's been just a moment of sheer brilliance by Bennett. But hopefully now we can use that as some momentum. Wrexham a goal down. They're going to have to come forward, and they are going to come forward through White here. Lays it to Powell. He's got options around him. We're desperately trying to win the ball off him. Lennon, great tackle there. Chimanga almost got the ball through to him, and, well, with his pace, he could have broken through. Unfortunately, not to be. And, well, now we try and build something from the back. Goburn on a booking always worries me. That is like a permanent concern of mine, is Goburn getting sent off after he got sent off on his debut. Part of me feels like I should just sub him off now. In fact, in hindsight, perhaps I shouldn't have played him. And, well, I take it all back. Speaking of sendings off, Evans, he's lost his head here for Wrexham. 30 minutes gone. He is sent off. They are going to be a man down in this game. That almost makes me want to bring on off Goburn even more so, if I'm being honest. Is that mad that I want to take a player off after 30 minutes? Perhaps. I'm going to bring on Ollie Bantram. I'm sorry, Goburn. I just don't... I've lost my trust in you after that sending off on your debut. Especially in the kind of game, where we have got them a man down now, Wrexham. It's the kind of game that we can look to capitalise on, I feel like. And that's what we're going to try and do. And, well, in truth, we have struggled in this kind of situation before this year. When we played Gateshead, we drew 0-0 against them. They had a man sent off in the 34th minute. And the game finished, well, as I already said, 0-0. This is the kind of game where we're already a goal ahead, which is good. But I'm now looking on us really to capitalise on that further, really to apply kind of further pressure. Goburn is not going to be happy of taking him off, but I don't know. I feel like we've worked hard to get a goal advantage in this game. We've worked hard to get a man advantage. let's try and keep it if we can. And he's just a player who I don't necessarily trust. Looking at our team, Vincent is also on a booking, as is Branco. So a few players to keep an eye on there on the right-hand side. Bernard Mensah perhaps just causing a bit of a headache for our defensive line as he goes for what would have been an incredible solo effort by the youngster, dribbling down that left-hand side. We do deal with it, fortunately. And well, 55 minutes gone. A warning sign there from Wrexham that perhaps this game isn't dead and buried at 1-0 with them a man down. You know, they're going to keep fighting in this game. And now it's going to be Chris Eagles to whip it in. Can we clear it? We can. Gianluca, now with Mensah out wide. Just don't foul him. Don't give away a needless foul. Branco intercepts. Can we get the ball forward now? We've got a lot of players here on the counter. Schmanga, so much space to run into. Brings the ball down well. Oh my gosh, what's he gone for? That was... I think that was a cross. It almost ended up in the back of the net. It was almost a moment of sheer brilliance, and I probably would have stood up and applauded. But, well, we still have time here for a moment of brilliance. Payne probably should have scored there. Nice knockdown by Schmanga. Eastwood in goal, however, for Wrexham. Fantastic stop by him. I think Payne had a little bit more time than perhaps he realised. A bit of a lack of composure, perhaps, with the way he took that opportunity there. But, well, we're 1-0 up. We're doing well. Set piece whipped in, headed across. It's another corner. Sustained period of pressure here in the Wrexham half. And the ball gets whipped in again. Chris Eagles deals with it. Only as far as Anderson, though. Whips it in. Nice ball. Schmanga back across the line. Dealt away with. And that's probably going to be all she wrote for this opportunity unless Vincent Day... Well, I was about to say, unless Vincent Day can put a fantastic ball into the box. He doesn't. I'm a little bit concerned about our fullbacks being on bookings just because I don't have a fullback on the bench. I'd have Piggott, the centre-back, who'd probably have to play out wide. But, well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Let's hope that we can stay well-disciplined here. Wrexham, they've still got the ball. They are still causing us problems here. There's still half an hour left in this game as well. It's now with Freya, now with Columba. Out wide to Brown. Tries to cross it across to Freya. He does well. We deal with it. And now we look to counter. You know, Wrexham, they're committing a lot of men to the attack despite being a man down here. Banks, nice tackle by him, of course, coming on for... kind of the majority of this game. And now we have a chance. Christy Davis, what a finish that is. That came out of nothing. I do not expect to see, if I'm honest, Isaac Christy Davis being the man to score goals for us. The centre mid, you know, he's not exactly a goal scoring machine. He's caught himself in an uncharacteristic advanced position here, running forward. He doesn't do that often enough, really. Schmanga, lovely ball through to him as well. Obviously, he got a hat-trick last time out. Now he's turning provider. And 2 goals up. 15 minutes left. We are in a very nice position here. I'm going to take off Anderson. He's not had the greatest of games. I'm going to move Keenan Bennett out on the left-hand side and bring on DR on the right. I think I'm also going to take off Payne and I'm going to bring in Ote. Give him a little bit of a run out. Well, not even half an hour. 15 minutes perhaps for Ote. Just to see if he can find a little bit of fun. This is the kind of game where, you know, he's been struggling for goals, but if we can bring him on and he can get a goal, it could be a nice lift to his confidence, you know, for games where we may need to start him. But in truth... I mean, Schmanga, who has ousted OT in the first team, really has been superb today across the 2 games that we've live-commed. A great performance, obviously, against Lincoln with the hat-trick, but even in this game, the 1 assist he got was sublime. Our entire back 4 on a booking, I'm increasingly getting worried, but I feel like with time slipping away now, it probably is game over as far as Wrexham are concerned. It's going to finish here 2-0 unless they get a late consolation, but that is all it will be. Wrexham's unbeaten run comes to a crushing end. A fantastic result for us at home. Obviously, the booking and the sending off helped us. Keenan Bennett's fantastic free kick really settled the nerves after a fantastic early opportunity for Wrexham was squandered. And, well, the fans, they've got to be very happy here at Edgar Street as far as we're concerned. It's a superb win for us. It is a big game changer. And, well, hopefully we can now take the momentum we've got from the 2 live-com games today. It's 2 big promotional rivals. Wrexham predicted to finish top, Lincoln predicted to finish second, and we can keep marching on up the league. Look at the league table. We now actually close the gap at the team at the top to 1 point. Worth noting that it's not Fidel. What is it? Filed? It's probably filed. Either way, well, I think we'll do them next episode. Answers on I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to find out how to pronounce their name. We played them in about a month's time, so that seems like a good game to do. I know we've got a fairly kind of few big games perhaps against the likes of Bristol Rovers, who, if I'm not mistaken, are a little bit of a rival of sorts to Hereford. But I feel like in the context of this, I'm not all that worried about playing them, and I feel like it's perhaps more in our interest to focus on the teams who are right up there in the table, and that game is going to be a big one for us. So anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up today's episode from me. Hopefully you did enjoy. Hopefully you have a good Christmas, as I already said. If you did, leave a like. If you've got any comments, leave them down below. And other than that, thank you so much for watching as always. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.